Hey, and welcome back to our fasting check-in. This is Dr. Dwain Woode, y'all, and we are talking about one of those important topics right now. So we've been in the fast. We've been working on our metabolism. We've been working on reversing our diabetes, and we're 29 hours into this week's fast. This is the sweet spot, y'all. It's the moment when your body is shifting. It's shifting gears. And fat burning is no longer a theory, it's a process you are living through right now. Tonight, we're going to talk about how to unlock fat burning, how to supercharge it, and more importantly, how to trust that it's happening even when the signs aren't very obvious. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And we are living limitless lives. We're working to reverse our diabetes. And Limitless Living says that we are going to do everything we possibly can to make that happen. We're not allowing anything from outside of us or anything from inside of us to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're breaking free from the shackles. We are breaking through the boundaries. We are presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life to be successful. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes, improve their metabolism, get off of medication, and set themselves up for health. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap on some music. And let you know that we're excited that you're here. If you do have questions as we move throughout the show, go ahead and put those in the comments and make sure you put a Q in front of the question so that I'll know that that's a question that we need to get to, or that's a question that we need to get to so that we can answer those for you. And you know how we do here. I've got my monitors off to the side that we'll take a look at right here. And I've got my Dexcom report. Actually, let's do this one. I've got my Dexcom report right below me so that we'll take a look at what's been going on with my blood sugars over the last several days as we've not seen each other for a while since we broke our fast last week. Actually, no, we saw you just a couple of nights ago, but you'll get a chance to take a look at the blood sugars as we move through the episode tonight. And I do see some of our community members out there. Just want to say hi to you guys, whatever platform you're joining us from, Instagram, Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, and then of course on Facebook if you're there as well. We welcome you to our show tonight. So we'll hop over and take a look and say hello to our community members in just a minute. But in the meantime, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and we're going to take a look at my numbers. I'm going to do a check-in here. And before that, I do want to point out to you, if you've not already done so, we are on day number 92 of our 100-day walk to consistency. If you've not joined us, it is an amazing process. It's an amazing journey that we have been on. We go ahead and pull that up, and this is what you're seeing. Just one of our episodes that I do there. We are 92 days into this series, and we're coming up on 100 days. This is a way to allow you to put some structure to your day. 30 minutes in the morning, you get up, we walk, we talk, we're doing some mindset education, and we are preparing for the rest of the year. So this is not just, hey, we're walking, but we are doing an amazing job as part of the tools that we're learning right here to set ourselves up for metabolic health and metabolic success. So if you're not doing something, if you're not walking, if you're not moving, if you're not doing something to get those muscles going and get those muscles moving, you are missing an opportunity to jumpstart your health. So make sure you join us in the morning at 6 a.m. All right, let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars so that you can see what's been happening right now. My blood sugar is 67 according to my Libre. This is a Libre 3. I think it's just a regular 3, not a 3 plus. So 67, you'll see that there on the screen. And for most of this afternoon, we've been in the red. And we're looking at this squiggly line right about there. You'll see that. The white part of that line is earlier in the day, and we were riding right just above 100. And then as we got to, what's that? Maybe about 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock, 3:30, it looks like. Then we started going below 70, and that's what you see in the red right there. Let's take a look at my Dexcom. This is G7, and this one allows us to do a little bit more fine, looking a little bit deeper, because it allows me to, let's actually change this to 12 hours. It allows me to put my finger on that graph, and we can get to see what the blood sugars are. So you see there earlier this morning starts out at about 100, and then has been actually just kind of dropping throughout the day. Now, according to this, I did not go below 70, but it looks like it's approaching there, right? And if I do a 24-hour period, going back, once again, starting the low 100s, right there is probably a Dawn/toothpaste effect. You'll see that right there. And then coming back to what we just looked at in the low 90s, actually high 70s to 90s. High 70s to low 90s is what I would say would be the last 24 hours. Like I said, we started out at 100. Okay? All right. Then let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at our monitors. See what those numbers are. Let's see. We've got a blue for ketones. I've got a brown for blood sugar. Got my test strip that we're going to take out. And grab a strip for the contour. Let's go ahead and grab that out. And I'm going to put that right up there. And then go ahead and just open these guys up. Leave that one right there. Here's this for the blood sugar. And let's get that started. Now for the Lancet, and let me pull that up so you guys get to see. So last week we had one of these that had been bent, and it did not work well. So let's go ahead and so we should be getting a good blood flow on this one. I want to make sure, because that hurt as soon as it went in. Let's see if we get a good. Yep, there we go. Not a big drop, but it was pretty brisk. You saw that come out. So let's go ahead and get that started, and then I'll need another one for the contour. And let's see. So blood sugar right there, according to the Keto Mojo, is 57. Let's see what it is here on the contour. And so I'm going to go ahead and we need one more drop because we need to get some ketones. And we'll see what the ketones are. Let's see if they behave for us today. I was at the store a little earlier today, yesterday, trying, and 73 is what the contour says blood sugar wise. And then let's see ketones. All right. Let's see what that is. And we're going to just go ahead and just look at it together. I know normally I have you guys. Well, actually, no, let's do this. We're gonna come back and we're gonna take a guess. Take a guess to see what you think it is. All right. So now let's hop over and say hello to some of our community members. I see you out there. So let's do that before we do my check-in. Let's see. And I see Cornelia out there. Hey, Cornelia, how are you? She says hi. Let's get this back up. Okay, there we are. She said hi. Oh, what happened? There we go. She says hi, Doctor and Limitless Living Gang. All right, we're still working on that name. Still working. I like that. Limitless Living Gang. Gion says hi, Doctor. And saying hi to Cornelia. Cornelia saying hi to Gion. And here comes Steve. He says, hello, ladies. Hi, Limitless Living Gang. LLG. There you go. Hi, Steve. Everybody's just saying hi to each other. I like Doctor's red shirt. I like my red shirt. Thank you. So thank you for coming through. Let's go ahead and let's do a little setup for those who might be joining us for the first time. If you are just finding us, someone invited you, or you're just coming across, what are we doing? We are attacking metabolism. Dysfunctional metabolism, dysregulated metabolism is the driving force behind lots of our chronic illnesses, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, coronary artery disease, and on and on and on. And so in this space, we are walking down the path, the limitless living path, that says that we are going to do whatever we need to do to reverse our diabetes, to improve our metabolism, to get off of medication, to improve any of those diseases along the spectrum. So when you hear me say I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes, that is true, but because diabetes is on that metabolic spectrum, all of the diseases on the spectrum improve with the tools that we're using to reverse diabetes. And one of the most powerful tools that we use is the tool of fasting. So once a week we come on, I do a fast once a week. Many of our community members are doing that as well. I do a 72-hour fast each week. And tonight, when you caught us, when we started, I had just completed 29 hours on my way to 72. So right now, we're a little bit over 29 hours, and we'll talk through that process. So that's where I am, that's where we are, and that's what we are doing right now. And we're talking tonight about trusting that it is happening, that fat burning is happening. Why fat burning? Because when we do an extended fast, we are expecting our body to switch from burning glycogen, from burning carbohydrates, from burning sugar, to now burning what? For burning fat. And as that is happening, we are anticipating some improvement in our metabolism, whether that's improved insulin resistance, improved weight, mental clarity. We are reversing or decreasing blood pressure because we're decreasing our insulin, we're suppressing our appetite. All of those things are dominoes along the metabolic path. And so that's what we're doing. And so I come on and I do a check-in to let you know what's going on so you can see my blood sugars. We talk about some of the things that may be in the process right now of preventing you from going to that next level, whether it's a mindset thing, whether it's something going on in your body, whether it's a misunderstanding. This is the place where you get to ask those questions, where we get to walk through the process. So as I am describing what's going on with me, and the reason I do a 72 hours our fast, a lot of people ask me, well, can I get the same benefits with shorter fast? And the answer is absolutely yes. The benefits are not as swift, they're not as quick, but we'll make a point here in just a minute about that. And with a 72-hour fast, you get to see in real time, as we're going through the days, you get to see exactly what's going on with my blood sugar. And particularly as we end the fast at the end of the 72, you get to see some of the things I eat and what happens to my blood sugar as a result of that. Okay, so that's the path that we're on. That's the journey that we're on. And we're so excited, so glad that you are here to join us on this road. So for a check-in, whenever we're doing anything, whenever we are working to improve anything, we want to make sure that we're putting things in place so that we can evaluate what's going on. And there are three main components that I want you to always be thinking about as you're thinking about metabolism, as you're thinking about things that you're going to do to improve your body. For instance, you're starting a new exercise program, you're starting a new eating plan, you're starting a new sleeping plan, you're starting some new medications. In our next series coming up, by the way, we're going to be doing some strength training. So all of those things, what you want to do, what you want to be doing is evaluating how it is affecting you. And the three most important parts of affecting us is how we're doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. You'll recognize those three because they are three of the components of our wellness domain. Remember we talked about the domains of health? These are some of the top three. So how am I doing physically? When we talk about about fasting, often people will talk about the fact that they can't fast because they feel weak. they feel tired, they feel lightheaded or dizzy, or lots of those symptoms, they'll talk about those as they get into the fast. Depending on how they are doing in the fast, depending on how they have prepared for the fast, then those symptoms can be a lot more pronounced. We'll go through a complete review of fasting on Friday when we do our 72-hour check-in. But just so you understand, many of those symptoms that you may be feeling come from the preparation for getting into the fast. Right? So physically, how am I feeling at 29 hours? I am feeling rested, which is a big component of it. And I've done a good job of doing that over the last several days. We had a busy weekend, so I was up late. But over the last several days, I've been doing a good job of resting. Also, you see me drinking, right? So I've got my mug and doing a good job of hydrating. So resting and hydration, very important in how we feel physically. If we don't do a good job with those two, they are probably the two most obvious things that will cause fatigue when it comes to the physical, comes to your physical health. Mentally, how you do physically translates into your thought process. Because you know that if you're tired, if you're fatigued, if you feel like I can't just do another thing, then that affects your thoughts as well. Things that people will say here, they feel foggy-headed, they feel like they're walking through a tunnel, they feel fuzzy-headed, their thought process doesn't seem to be orderly, they're not able to make small decisions, or they have sluggish response time. All of those can come if we are tired. So doing a good job of the physical translates into the mental, because they go hand in hand. So fasting is not just about not eating, it's about all those components that are very much connected with each other. And then emotionally, so back to mental. So right now I am actually feeling very good. My thought process is good. Thought process is clear because I've been hydrating, because I've been resting. Right now I'm feeling pretty good in terms of my thought process. And then emotional. Remember, our emotional state is a creation of the feelings that we have, and the feelings are a creation of our interpretation of things that happen, and our interpretation are a function of our thought process, or the lens through which we see the world. Notice that progression. And so if we are not feeling well, if we're not rested, if we're not hydrated, then we begin to feel those lightheaded, sweaty, dizzy, all those things. It clouds our thought process. So our thought process is more sluggish. We're less resilient. We are less resistant to things around us. We are more irritable, and that shows up in our emotions, because ultimately those interpretations lead to our feelings, and the feelings lead to the emotions that are generated, and the emotions, of course, dictate our actions. And so, once again, there's that cascade. When we talk about the domains of health, often we see them as separate, but they are all intertwined, as you see, because one thing domino effects into another. And so right now, emotionally feeling good, got some good things coming up this week, this weekend. Been doing a good job this week of dealing with my personal journey through metabolism, dealing with the show that we're doing, the episodes that we're doing on the show. Excited about that. Looking forward to the other things that are coming up, and really even spending time figuring out the path that I need to be on next. What is the next thing for me? All of that has been just very exciting for me as I've been moving through this week. So physically, mentally, and emotionally, feeling good. All right? All right. So let's go ahead and let's get into our conversation. Let's get into our talk for tonight. And so tonight we're talking about how to unlock fat burning. And let me do one thing here really quickly. Here we go. All right. And so tonight we're talking about how to unlock fat burning. And as you heard me say, most importantly, how to trust that it's happening even when the signs are not that obvious, right? So let's start with a reminder. So fat burning isn't like flipping a switch. Fat burning is not like flipping a switch. It's a sequence of things, a sequence of cascades. Just as we were talking in the check-in about the domino effect of the physical, mental, and emotional. So fat burning is a sequence of effect as well. First, your body uses glucose that comes from the food. That postprandial period, the food that comes in, it breaks it down, it takes all that stuff, and it extracts what it needs, and the rest goes out as waste. So first it has to burn the glucose. Then it has to burn the glycogen. So there's glycogen being stored in our liver. So about 100 grams of glycogen is stored in our liver. For every gram of glycogen, it stores 3 grams of water. So in our liver, there are about 400 grams total of weight that's there. So after it's burned the sugar that's floating around your blood, then it goes to the glycogen. And then finally, after that's used up, then it taps into the fat stores. And at 29 hours, which is where I am, that shift is in progress. We usually tell people that it takes about 24 hours, 24 to 36 hours, for your body to use up the food that you ate at any given time. So if you ate today at noon, then 24 hours later, tomorrow at noon, is when the body is just now beginning to deplete the glycogen that comes from that food. And you may not feel a drastic change, but the metabolism, the transition, is already underway at 29 hours. It started, it may not have completed, and this once again depends on the things that you ate leading into the fast. But it's on its way. Insulin levels are dropped. Ketones are rising slowly. Your body is adapting at this point. And if your ketones aren't high yet, that doesn't mean that it's not working. It just means that your body is still learning how to prioritize fat as fuel. You want to stay the course. One of the most important things for me, and we'll make a point here in a little while, is that I am monitoring. I've got all these devices. Well, I shouldn't say devices. I've got all these apps, right? So I'm monitoring my blood sugar. I'm monitoring my ketones. I'm monitoring my weight. All those things. And you may not, in your monitoring, see all the signs yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening. One of my favorite signs is I look at my what's called my Fitbit, my Fit Index, and I mentioned that in our episode last week. It is the app that I use to begin tracking all the things that are going on in my body, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. Okay, so your body's adapting. Your body's adapting. So in this process, you are unlocking fat burning. So what are some of those signs? Let's talk about real signs that fat burning is actually going on. Even if the ketone meter, by the way, right, is saying otherwise. Number one, you feel clearer and lighter in your body. You feel clearer, your thought processes are clearer. That is a sign that the body is burning fat and is getting those ketones. Remember beta hydroxybutyrate? That's the one that gives mental clarity. There's less urgency about food and around eating times. Why? Because your body is generating ketones, and those ketones send a signal to your brain that regulates the satiety hormone, that is leptin, and the hunger hormone, that's ghrelin. So when we're fasting, when ketones come out, those ketones themselves are causing downstream benefits because it helps our brain say, okay, I am full. And it stops the cravings. Let me say that. So it slows our GI tract. Slight energy dips followed by rebounds, right? So you get the dip and then boom, you come back. It's almost like And I always give the example of Tony Stark, right? Iron Man, right? He puts the arc reactor and boom, right? So that process, you're seeing some dips, but it comes back up. This goes with what we talk about when I do my check-in, when you look at my blood sugars, right? So my blood sugars will be going down, 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 dropping below 70, and then all of a sudden it pops back up. Well, where did the sugar come from to cause it to go from a low number back up to a high number? Well, that sugar had to come from glycerol, which had to come from the fact that my body's burning fat. So that rebound that I feel is just a pop in energy that comes out as a result of the fat burning process that's going on. So when you feel that, right, you're like, oh man, I'm feeling a little dip in my energy, and then you pop back up. That is a sign that your body is burning fat. And then there's this calm, focused state that comes on, especially in the evening, because the body is burning those ketones, and those things are calming us. So these are all signs, even though you may not think that it's happening, even though sometimes you look at the monitor and it looks like it's hard. One of the conversations I had several months now, I was talking to someone about fasting. And they were saying to me that, hey, when I fast, even if I fasted for, and they gave, a number of hours, then my blood sugar is still high. And I said to them, well, yeah, because your body hasn't quite gotten through just the stuff that's in it yet. The food that you just ate, it hasn't even gotten through that yet. And then it has to get from there, it has to go to the glycogen. And then after the glycogen is gone, then it goes to the fat cells. So if you are fasting and you have been fasting for 12, 15, 16, 18, maybe even 20 hours, and you are seeing that the blood sugars are still high, your body is still in the process of using the sugar, burning the sugar that's there. It probably hasn't done away with all the glycogen yet. And that doesn't happen, or you don't get better blood sugars until all of that is going away. So all these things that I'm talking about, right? So feeling clearer, less urgency to eat, that those energy dips followed by the rebounds, and even that calm that comes on you, these are whispers, y'all. Your metabolism is saying, I got you. I got this. I'm shifting over. Trust that this is happening. Trust that I'm doing this. This is what's going on inside our body. This is what's going on inside our body. So don't let the scale and your ketones be your only measure. Now, here I gotta hop over, and I'm gonna say that one of the things that I love to look at is my fit index. And I mentioned before that when I look at my fit index, I'm not always looking at the weight. I'm not always looking at that big number that you're seeing. What I'm looking at is I'm looking at all these guys down here. I'm looking at my percentage fat. I'm looking at my body fat. I'm looking at my BMI. I'm looking at the visceral fat. I'm looking at my total body water. And I play a game with myself. The goal when I started, all of those numbers, well, a lot of those numbers were red. Right? Red meaning that they were off the charts. Like, for instance, if I hop into one of these, right, you'll see there, you'll see that scale. So it starts out as red, and then it becomes like a light green, and then it becomes a green, and then a darker green, and then blue, right? So my goal as I started was not necessarily to look at the weight, but it was to look at the other parameters, because I knew if I can get those parameters within target, then the weight was going to come. So as we are going through looking at the different markers, they may not all change. They may not all say the things that we want them to say quite yet, but that doesn't mean that this is not happening. This is an important point. The data matters. I advocate checking. When we do our check-in, I'm checking myself. When we talk about our breaking the fast, I tell you to check. People who are not diabetic, I tell them to go to the store and find a meter and begin checking your glucose, checking your ketones if you have a ketone meter. They are single points in time, though. They don't tell the whole story. As important as they are, as much as we promote them, as much as I love them, as much as I use them, they don't tell the whole story. Here's what really matters. Are you honoring the fast? When you have created your structure, when you have your schedule, are you doing that consistently? It's not a sprint, and it doesn't happen overnight, and you may not be able to fast 72 hours, but you start where you are. Are you honoring that on a regular basis? Because if you do that, then your body will begin switching quicker and quicker into the metabolic improvement. Are you hydrating? Right? And every time I say hydration, I mean take a drink. Are you hydrating? Are you keeping your mind and emotions aligned? So rhythm, that is the tenure of your life. What are you about? What is your purpose? What is your function? What is your goal? What's your North Star statement? What is your life? That's the rhythm of your life. Alignment. Are the things you're doing, the behaviors that you have, the decisions you make, are they in keeping with where you say your North Star statement, the direction you're going, where your life, you say your life you want to go, your health, your blood sugar, your weight, your diet, well, let me not say diet, your eating plan, your fatty liver, your polycystic ovarian syndrome, the things that you do, the decisions you make, the things you eat, are they in keeping with what you say you want? Are they heading in that direction? That's the alignment. Rhythm, alignment, and then structure. What do you have in place to keep you doing those things so you're not just dependent on motivation? Because motivation will wane. You'll make a decision that you want to do something, and today you'll feel good and you'll be all in it. And tomorrow you'll feel bad and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do it today. You can't do that. So when we're looking at all of these, when we're looking at all these parameters, they are great, they are important, but do you have something in place to understand that even though that doesn't say it, I'm doing the things on a daily basis that I'm supposed to do that is taking me down the road in the direction that I need to go. So this journey is more than about numbers. It's about reclaiming trust in your body's design. We did a show last week, I think, 2 weeks ago. Trust your body. How to trust your body again. So why do we get discouraged in the process? Let's be real. One of the biggest hurdles at this stage, 29 hours, 24 hours even, it's not physical. It's not physical. It's not that my body is forcing me to eat. It is a mental battle. So I've gone 29 hours. You've gone 29 hours. You've gone 48 hours. You've gone whatever number of hours it is without food. And you're expecting to feel powerful. You're expecting to feel, And then the ketone meter says 0.1. Right? The ketone meter says 0.1. Or the scale hasn't moved. Your stomach is growling. You have a headache. And just like that, doubt begins to creep in. I'm like, man, I don't even know if this thing is working. I don't see anything going on in the scale. My ketone says 0.1. I've been fasting for 24 hours. So why do we get discouraged? We get discouraged because we've been trained to expect instant results, number one. So we are the microwave society, right? We want things done. We want it now. We've been working on metabolism and there are improvements going on, but you may not see it yet because you've only lost a half a pound. When you went to the doctor, they said, oh, your blood sugar is only 5 points lower than it was before. Your A1C hasn't changed yet, which is an important point. I guess let me put a pencil there or pin there and explain something. When, for example, when people show up in my office, they show up in my office because a lot of times their doctor has sent them over to me. Because they've been trying to get their blood sugars under control, and they've not been able to do it for whatever reason. And the doctor says, I'm sending you to see Dr. Woode. And for a lot of people, being sent to a specialist, it triggers something in them. And so they've been doing their stuff, and they've improved their diet, they are out, they're exercising, they're drinking water, they're getting sleep. And so their doctor may have told them that, I don't know, a month ago. And so now they show up in the office, and we get an A1C when they show up in the office. Well, the A1C is not 6 because their A1C was a 12 when their doctor says, I'm sending you. So they've been doing all this work for that month when they show up to me. And when they show up, the A1C is still high. And that can be discouraging because they've been doing the work. They've been doing the diet plan. They've been doing the exercise, drinking the water. They've made all these changes. They went home, and by God, they threw everything out and they started over. And one of the things to explain to you and to them is that, yes, you've been doing all that, and there are changes going on in your body, but it takes time to show up in the data. But because we're so used to getting that result, we look at it and we say, oh yeah, this is not working. It is working. Your body's saying to you working. Your vision is better. Your weight is going down. The blood sugars are better because your A1C today was lower than it was before. Yeah? Because the diet culture told us that if it doesn't change tomorrow, then it's not working. And that is not the case. Okay? We get discouraged because of that. Let me tell you something. Fasting isn't about speed. It's about rhythm, alignment, and structure. It's about alignment. It's your body's way of relearning how to burn fuel. It's your mind learning how to be still. And those are invisible victories. They're invisible until they show up as a clearer skin, better sleep, stable blood sugars, emotional calmness, and eventually lasting fat loss. Come on now, right? So I'm excited. So one of the guys I listened to, and he wasn't even talking about health. He wasn't even talking about weight. He wasn't even talking about anything that we do. He was actually just talking about content creation. And so he said, so often we are out and we want like instant benefit. But he said it's the quiet, consistent thing that you're doing every day that eventually leads to the big thing that happens. One of my favorite people to listen to is Steve Harvey. And he was telling a story, or someone was interviewing him, I believe. And the comment that they were making is that, when people see him, they think that he just arrived where he is, right? One of the most influential, one of the most known, one of the funniest guys that that's out in the space. But we don't know the years that he spent on the road in the small places where he played before he finally got to where he is. And so for us, as we're doing metabolism, you're gonna go and nobody's gonna say to you lost weight. And you're like, man, am I losing? Because some of us don't get on the scale. I get on the scale twice a day, by the way. Because if that number scares me, there's other stuff I've got to deal with. Remember, Limitless Living say I'm not allowing anything to interfere with my plan and my goal of being healthy. So if the scale is one of those things, I got to deal with that scale number. But that's another conversation, right? So discouragement happens when we stop looking inward and only focus out there. What people are saying, what they're saying. They're not seeing anything. Though the number is not changing. The scale is not changing. So begin tracking your non-scale victories. The fact that, the clothes, they felt, I didn't see it on the scale yet, but the clothes feel different. My joints don't hurt as much. The weight's going down. There's not that much pressure. My skin feels better. I feel better. My thought process is clearer. Remind yourself that the work you're doing right now is the foundation for long-term, long-lasting change. This isn't a failure. This is the fire that's being forged. And it is forging your transformation. Right? So earlier this week, we talked about our environment on our show on Monday. And that was all about the domains of health. We're walking through that process. We're doing that mini-series. So how does that relate to today's conversation? How does that relate to the fast? And let me connect the dots. We talked about the fact that there were so many things around us that affect our energy, like air quality. So better air equals better oxygen equals better mitochondrial function. And we've talked about the mitochondria before. Mitochondria is the powerhouse. It actually is the thing that is the driving force behind metabolism. We talked about dysfunctional metabolism being the underpinnings for our chronic diseases. Well, if we look at metabolism, the thing that's doing all of that is the mitochondria. And you know what the mitochondria needs for energy? Or needs to function? It needs good air. So when our air quality is low, then we can have dysfunctional mitochondria, which ultimately leads to our dysfunctional metabolism. We talked about stress, noise stress, more cortisol. It disrupts fat burning. Let me say it again. So when we are stressed, the elevated cortisol produces sugar. So the body goes and it ramps up the production of sugar, even when we're fasting in the stress. And when sugar comes out, we know what has to come out to fix the sugar: insulin. And the moment insulin shows up, it disrupts fat burning because your body no longer is going to burn fat, because insulin says it is a storage. We're taking everything now and we're putting it into storage. So the stress that you're under during fasting, that comes from the environment, that comes from poor sleep, all of that can disrupt our metabolism and short circuit it. When we are confusing hunger signals because we've disrupted our circadian rhythm, because we're not getting good sleep, because we're staying up late, because we're scrolly, right? We're scrolling through stuff, and we are living those lives, or we're trying to live those lives of the stiff people that we see. That interferes with our metabolic balance. So we're talking about how to unlock fat burning. First, understanding that it is happening, and understanding that our environment plays a big part in the ultimate burning of fat and our ultimate success in getting our body to access those fat stores. If we're not taking care of our stress, if we're not sleeping well, if we are not taking care of our environment, our air quality, all of that has an effect on our metabolism. So yes, even in a fast, your environment matters. So cleaning up your space, getting natural light, managing your screen time, all of that has an impact on your life and impact on the metabolism. These are fat burning allies. So what are some action steps for the next 24 hours? So as we move beyond the 29 hours, as we move forward towards 36 and further, how do we support our fat burning engine? Number one, we want to keep our fluid intake high. Because remember, the fluid that we drink, they lubricate the system, they provide liquid, they provide a carrying process or transport process for the body. Because when we're fasting, when we're burning those ketones, there's waste product that has to go away. Enzymes that are in our body, they need fluid to work. So keep your water intake high. Make sure your electrolytes are where they need to be, that they're replenished. Make sure that you are resting, right? When you rest, it decreases our cortisol. Make sure you're dealing with stressful events, or you have a stress management process. One of the questions I ask my patients, ask my clients is, what is your stress management technique? What is the thing that you do when you need to manage stress? And often I get the answer, well, I just go through it. I just make through it. I just ignore it. That is not a stress management technique. Notice what I'm saying. Stress management. I'm not talking about stress ignoring or stress avoiding. What is your management? What is the thing that you have in place that's going to help you to manage the stress? And we've done shows where we've talked about those. Go back and watch some of those. You want to protect your peace. Protect your time. Your cortisol levels matter. And so if the things around you, the people around you, the situations around you are causing you to have disrupted cortisol, elevated cortisol, how do we deal with those things? Limitless living, right? See, it's all tied together. Exercising will jumpstart your fat burning, because exercising during fasting will jumpstart it. And light exercise, not, bodybuilding. Fluids will do that. Rest will do that. How you prepare for the fast actually will do that, but we're not talking about preparing for the fast right now. But all of those are helping. Mindset changes. Yoga. Being present. Understanding you. Emotional intelligence. All of that, those are calming, and those help us in the fast itself. Help us to jumpstart. So, we're 29 hours in. 29 hours in. Actually, more than 29 hours now. And that's not a small thing. It's a bold declaration. Wherever you are, 24 hours, 26 hours, 36 hours, 72 hours. What that says is that you are choosing health over habit. Did you guys hear that? When you fast, whatever the fast is, when you've committed to that fast and you are doing it, even though you don't see the numbers changing, you are saying, I'm choosing my health over the habit. And what's the habit? The habit is not exercising. The habit is turning to the buffering behavior. The habit is not resting. But if I'm going to fast, then there are some things I need to do to get through the fast successfully. And all of those things that we're doing are setting me up for success. In this fast, the 29 hours, you're learning now to trust your body again. Because you are listening to the body. You're not hearing all the noise, the rest of the food noise. The food noise is gone. You're learning to trust the signals from your body. And you are in the activation phase of fat burning at 29 hours. Because the glycogen is nearly depleted, and the body is turning now, or has turned, to fat. And what you're feeling, what you're seeing, yeah, All that right now is your body whispering that, yeah, we're doing this. So what are you noticing at this point in your fast? Are there any environmental shifts that you've made this week or that you need to make so that you can fast successfully? What helps you trust the process? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to hear what is going on in your environment. I'd love to hear some of the thoughts that you have concerning your fast and your fat burning. Where are some challenges that you're having? What are some places that you're having success? Drop those in the comments. Let us know. Because we are moving down a limitless living life and pathway. Awesome. All right, so let's hop over and let's say hello to some of our community members. I think I saw some other folks pop in. So Pam is here. So Pam says, hello all. And Gioan says, hello Pam. Hi Pam from Cornelia. So glad that you guys are here. Let's go over, let's take a look at my meter or my report. So this is my Dexcom Clarity. And you'll see there that my average blood sugar over the last 14 days is 103. My range is my time in range is 93%. That is 70 to 180 is the range. And my glucose management indicator right there is 5.8. So if I were to get an A1C, it would approximate that. I can't call it an A1C, but because it's a calculated number, but that's about what it would be. If I change to look at so we were looking right there at my 14-day. Let's go ahead and let's look at my 7-day. I don't know if it'll be able to calculate it because it doesn't have enough data. But we can look at 14 days, which is what we just saw. I go back to 30 days. And so 5.7 A1C with average blood sugar of 101. And if I go back to 90 days, that should be about 6.6 or thereabouts. You guys remember that we were having some higher numbers there. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at my daily graph. And so here I am. This was 29 hours. So I actually started, let's go back here. So started fasting right about noon yesterday. And so noon today would be 24 hours. Right there. So started at blood sugar was 119 and 24 hours, and then of course now 29 hours up here. So going back and looking at all the data, so we've been running in the 70s. Highest there was a 114, I think. Yeah, right there, 114. Going back 29 hours, and you will see 119, like I said. And then before that morning, we've been running right around 120, 130s. All right, and you'll see we woke up with the 100s, 198, and then this process right here, this is toothpaste. Okay, and then the night before. And I do a 1 meal a day. So here's my 1 meal a day. So I was coming through the day, and you see we've been 90s, 100s, low 100s, and then ate right about here, right? Because I usually do my food in the evening, and right there is my spike up to about 169, right? And then that came down, and then we got a second spike up to 164. Going back before that, now, so for the last 2-3 days, I've been running in the low 100s, spiking up in the morning there to 140s, and look at this day we really didn't have a big spike in blood sugar. The day before eating, of course, so there's my 1 meal, because I did my 1 meal a day earlier that day. And I think I mentioned, where was it where I had the chips, the nacho chips? One of these days. But even there, you see the blood sugars are like in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Okay, so this is looking back over now let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, over the last week. All right, so looking over blood sugars over the last week, and you see over the last week we've been running, I think the lowest I had was maybe a 69 or something like that. Yeah, 69 right there. And then the highest was, I guess the highest was this guy right here, 167. And the other times during the day, we've been running in the 80s, 90s, and low 100s. Now, one of the benefits of fasting, and good place to maybe make that point, is one of the benefits of fasting, and I answered the question, I think, last week for someone who was asking about whether to take medication during the time when they're fasting. So in the fast, what we're doing during the fast is we're becoming more insulin sensitive, which means that our body's capacity to deal with higher blood sugar improves. All right, so during fasting, that's what we're doing. We said we're improving our insulin sensitivity. So our body's ability to deal with higher blood sugar is improved. So that after the fast, you're able to eat some things right after the fast that you couldn't eat before, and the blood sugars don't go as high because the body is better. And so every time that we are fasting, we are actually adding to the capacity of the body to shift over from burning carbohydrates to burning fat. And that process is causing a profound change in the metabolism, the way the body takes food and converts it. Remember, we're talking about changing or bringing back our metabolism into homeostasis, into improvement. So that now, when you fast, what you're doing is you are helping the body to regulate itself again. And that's the beauty. That's the power of fasting. And so what you're seeing in terms of the numbers are the things that are happening to my blood sugar with the foods that I'm eating over the course of time. And that is a direct result of the fasting. Okay? And then I want to hop back over here. And if you currently are not tracking weight, I encourage you to get the Fit Index. Is an amazing machine. It's simple. You can get it in any one of your stores. It Bluetooths to your phone. You get on it, and it sends a small signal through your body. And it measures all of these things, and it records it. And what I'm recommending that you do is begin playing that game with yourself, wherever the numbers are, right? And I'll have to go back and find one of mine where the numbers were red. And let's see how that. Oh yeah, I'll have to go back and find. Well, let's go back. Let's see if we can do that. All right. So you'll recall back here. Right, so look at these blood sugars, right? And so I think my highest, let's do this. So look at that weight, right? So, and I think we've shown this in the past. In this app, the highest weight I think is a 260. Right, when I started tracking with this. But my highest weight was 287 pounds. And so our weight now is 186. So I want you to get that number. So 287 pounds down to 186. So that's about a 100-pound drop. And even within this, right, going from a 260, right, down to 186. So I want you to begin looking at those numbers. And the thing that I want you to do, and I don't know if it'll let me pull up one of the old ones. Yeah, so we'll have to figure that out. But the thing that I want you to do is I want you to begin looking at these numbers and saying, how do I get, for instance, my fluid status, right? Body water, this one right here. How do I get that to be not red, but how do I get it into the green and then ultimately to blue? How do I get my visceral fat out of the red? And you begin doing the things that you need to do to move in that direction. And one of the ways of doing that is with fasting. And as you fast, you'll get to look at those numbers and see how those numbers are changing. And it is a fun process. It makes it fun. It allows you to do those things that you need to do, right, without looking at the weight, right? Because everybody wants to look at that big number up there, but I'm saying don't look at that big number. Let's do the small things, and that's what we were just talking about, right? The small things that add up to make that big change. Because sometimes when you look at that big number, it seems so insurmounting or insurmountable. Sorry. But when we're talking about, okay, I can drink more water, that's a simple one, and that will have a profound effect here. Awesome. All right. Let's see. I think I see a question. So let's go ahead and hop over and answer that question. So Pamela says, what is a good range to keep your blood sugar? Or is that something that differs according to the individual? And that's a very good question, Pam. And so Pam's question is, what's a good range to keep your blood sugar? And I recommend for all of my patients a blood sugar between 100 and 120. 100 and 120. Now, remember that any blood sugar that's higher than 99 is actually considered high. So a normal, non-diabetic person, their normal blood sugar should be between 70 and 99. So anything above that is considered abnormal. So when we are talking about diabetics, when we're talking about people who have diabetes, who are on medication, the reason for that range, the 100 to 120, is actually a safety thing. Because if I say, well, ideally, I would love your blood sugar to be 70. Well, if we're keeping it at 70, the medication doesn't know that your blood sugar is at 70. So the medication keeps trying to drop the blood sugar lower and lower, and so people end up having hypoglycemia. So the 100 to 120 is actually a safety range. In fact, if you look at a lot of the guidelines, they will tell you 70 to 180. So they'll even expand it more. But because we're human, if anybody tells me I could have blood sugar between 70 and 180, you know where I'm going to keep it? 179. Right? That's how we think. And so narrowing that allows us to keep it relatively better without having those really high numbers, and keeps us safe without having the low numbers. So set 100 to 120 is what I tell most people. Now, there are people who will come into the office, and for different reasons, we'll say to them, we're going to expand yours now. So if I got an 87-year-old guy, 87-year-old woman who is very frail, who is having other people having to take care of them and care for them, then I'll tell them that I'll allow their blood sugar to drift up higher. Why? Because once again, it's a safety issue. So I hope that answers your question about the where to keep the range to keep blood sugars in. Awesome. All right, everybody. So we are in the process of reversing our diabetes. We're improving our metabolism. We're getting off of medication. We're losing weight. Boom. That's what we're doing. And all of that is built on our platform, the Triple E Formula for Success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows that we do. Like this show right now is an education because it helps us to shift our mindset. It is, as we are dealing with metabolism, much of it has nothing to do with our physical body. It has a lot to do with our mental thoughts. And if we combine the changes that we're getting in our mindset with the things that we're doing in our body, then we get success. So we educate, we empower with the tools that we're using, learning how to fast, how to make that work for us, how to make it efficient. Fasting, our 100-day walk to consistency. You're getting up and you are moving. You are setting some structure to your day. You are lubricating your joints. You are remaining flexible. You are being consistent over time. That's a tool. Learning how to eat, balanced bites. What are the things that we need to be thinking about in our meal? That's a tool. All of that gives you power to apply the things that we learn when we talk about the education. So we educate, we empower, and then we encourage. And we encourage with the community that you are part of, the community that you are building. If you want to go somewhere, you can go by yourself. But if you want to go long, you want to go far, you want to stay successful, make sure that you take people with you. And that's the community that we are a part of. That I'm so excited that you are here. When you show up, join the challenges. Do the things that we're talking about. Don't just let it be something on the video or in your journal that you're doing, which you should be keeping in a journal, by the way. You've got to apply action. It takes form. It gives power when you infuse it with behavior, with action. So come, join the challenges, and then let somebody else know. There are over 1 billion people on the planet, 1 billion with a B, billion people on the planet who have diabetes or pre-diabetes. And you can be a voice that says, we don't have to keep having the same complications. We can do better. We can improve our health. We can stop having heart attacks. We can stop having kidney failure. We can stop having neuropathy. We can stop going blind. We can improve. And here's a space where you can come and you can learn how to do all of that. We will be back on tomorrow as we continue our trek through the limitless living journey, and as we continue our fasting. Remember, we worry about a lot of stuff, and 91.4% of the things that we worry about never come true. 91.4. So what are the things that we are going to do to clear our mind to deal with our stress? Come back tomorrow. We'll talk more about our fasting as we continue in the journey. And then we'll be back on Friday for our complete review of fasting. And then on Saturday, we'll have video from the vault. Video from the vault. And then on Sunday, this week in review is what we will be doing. Make sure you join us. Make sure you invite somebody. Tell them, come on, let's do it. Let's do it together. Thanks for being here. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health in your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year right here, we are living a limitless life. And limitless living says that we're doing everything we can. We're breaking free from the boundaries. We're breaking free from the constraints that tie us. We're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We are presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. We want to be successful. Good night, everybody. We'll see you at our next show. Bye-bye.